Welcome to Superheroreviews.com's comic book review of the new Howard the Duck comic book. Howard the Duck is actually becoming quite popular again, basically because he appeared at the end credit scene of the hugely popular Marvel movie Guardians of the Galaxy. For the current generation, Marvel has relaunched the Duck, and I have to admit, I almost didn't buy this because I bought Howard the Duck back in the 70s. I saw the movie in the 80s. And while it was like, wow, Howard the Duck is in Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought that was kind of a funny little Easter egg that they threw in there. I didn't take seriously the Duck. But I picked up this book mostly on impulse. It's like, well, I'm kind of curious. So we're going to take a look at Howard the Duck #1. And the original comic book of Howard the Duck, which came out in 1976, had as a little subtitle, Trapped in the World He Didn't Made. This one, if you can see it, says, Trapped in a World He's Grown Accustomed to. So the Duck has been on our Earth for a while. He's from another dimension, blah, blah, blah. Long story short. And he keeps getting himself into trouble. And in the cover here, we see the Duck in an office. He's a private detective. And outside his window, we see Spider-Man, the new Captain Marvel, the female Thor, and the Hulk's legs. And in the window, we see a very unhappy-looking female, and it looks a little bit like Black Cat, which, as we see in the storyline, is appropriate. And there's actually another superheroine in here that will grab our attention. But let's take a look inside. The goal of these reviews is to get you a chance to look at the art. And, of course, Marvel is advertising their new properties, the Star Wars franchise. Their comic books are also quite good. So Howard the Duck. And anything with Howard the Duck is going to have more than a touch of humor, as this book does. This is written by Chip Zdarsky, which is actually a pseudonym for the fellow's real name. Joe Quinones is the artist, Rico Renzi, color artist, VC's Travis Lanham is letterer, and so on down the line here. So the setting, the comic book is set when we see Howard the Duck. Howard is a duck, as you no doubt pieced together from the title of the book and the cover image. But he's not just a duck. He's a duck who talks and displays a remarkable amount of common sense in a world gone mad. And it talks a little bit about his past history, even including the fact that he was a George Lucas movie subject. Doesn't mention the movie was horrible. There have been several versions of the Duck's comic book title. This is, of course, the latest one here in 2015. So take a look at the art here. Not bad. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Mike Allred's art in a sense. Oops. So here we find Howard the Duck in dire straits. He is in, not a band, but he is in jail. And, of course, he's being, he's never given any respect, it seems like. He's wearing his trademark fedora. Remember, he is a private eye. And he seems to think he's back from the 1930s, though his sensibilities are really more 70s and 80s here, as they mention. In the Duck comic books in the past, he always ends up paired up with a human female. In this case, another one he meets in jail. And there's our superheroine who's not happy she shares her office in the same building with Howard the Duck. This is She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters, an attorney who is strong enough to bench press 10 million ducks or break off pieces of brick when she gets mad at him. So here we have a client coming to see the Duck with a task. He's supposed to retrieve a piece of jewelry from a super villainous, and again, there's spoilers here, be aware. And this super villainous is the Black Cat, who we saw on the cover. So that's not really a spoiler, I guess. So this person's obviously trying to disguise himself. Look a little bit like Reed Richards at first, but I don't know. That'd be kind of, that's not his style. So back to She-Hulk, who's not happy with him. Oh, and as we saw in the first Howard the Duck movie, comic book in 1976, Spider-Man makes an appearance to help our little feathered friend. And he shows up here, yada yada. They go through it. Howard the Duck and his new female protege go into training. Remember, the Duck is circa 1970s, 1980s, as you can tell from his warm-up clothing. Ooh, yes, Marvel is advertising Secret Wars coming up soon. So, long story short, we go into their little adventure where they are sneaking in to steal something from the Black Cat, who of course is Marvel's version of Catwoman, though they would hate to admit that, though they do make jokes about that on occasion. And here we have the galactic cosmic villain type guy who's here to collect the Duck. If you've seen the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, you might see where this is going. And Spider-Man comes, helps save things. The Black Cat is involved. The Duck gets zapped. And he ends up in a space prison, jail, cell type thing with the alien we saw earlier who was earlier collected. Now here's a humongous spoiler leading into the next book. So if you don't want to know, stop here. I will turn the page in just a moment. Ready? And who do you think is going to show up? Really? He's been collected. He's in space. Who else is going to be here? Da-da-da-da! Rocket Raccoon. Raccoon and a duck. You think they're going to get along? Who knows? So, next issue, Howard and Rocket, Guardian Gnomes. So, as if you want to send comments, there we go. So if you, as comic books go, this is humorous. Is it going to be a collector's item? I hope not. It's not bad. How far this series goes, we'll see. If Howard ends up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe anymore. I just hope they don't make a solo movie again. So, not a bad comic. If you're curious about Howard the Duck, pick it up. If you don't want to spend the money, you have Marvel Unlimited, wait a few months, watch it there, borrow it from a friend. It's not bad. Spider-Man's in it, She-Hulk's in it, 2 characters I like. Looks like the Collector's going to make an appearance. He's an interesting, if weird, villain, and of course people know him from the Guardians movie. So, with that, Howard the Duck. Come back later, and we will be reviewing other comic books. Again, this is Superheroreviews.com, and we'll see you in the funny papers.